The first time Allied pilots saw the Me-262, they could not believe it. No propeller. Swept wings. And it was pulling away from them like they were standing still. Germany had built the future of aviation. But the future arrived too late. This is the story of Me-262. A weapon that changed the face of war. The year is 1944 to 1945. The world is at war. And someone has just built something terrifying. Germany built the world's first operational jet fighter. It was 120 miles per hour faster than anything the Allies had. It should have changed the war. But Hitler's interference and late deployment meant it changed nothing. What comes next will revolutionize warfare forever. The Me-262 first flew in 1942. Its Jumo 004 turbojet engines produced thrust-through combustion, not propellers. It was revolutionary. It could reach 540 miles per hour, over 100 miles per hour faster than the best Allied fighters. In level flight, nothing could catch it. But Hitler insisted it be used as a bomber, not a fighter. He called it the Blitzbomber. This delayed its use as a fighter by months. The Jumo 004 engines were unreliable. They had a service life of only 25 hours. Rare metals were so scarce that turbine blades were made from inferior alloys. Adolf Galland, Germany's top fighter general, flew the 262 and said it was like being pushed by angels. He demanded it be used as a fighter immediately. The Me-262 entered fighter service in autumn 1944. Its 430mm cannons could destroy a bomber with a single burst. Against bomber formations, the 262 was devastating. It would approach from behind at high speed, fire, and zoom away before escorts could react. But the 262 was vulnerable during takeoff and landing. Its jet engines were slow to accelerate. Allied pilots learned to ambush them near their bases. The Allies stationed fighters near known 262 bases. The pattern was called rat-catching. It was very effective. Only about 300 Me-262s were operational at any time. Germany built 1,400 but could not get enough fuel, pilots, or spare parts. Some of the Luftwaffe's best aces flew the 262. Heinz Bahr scored 16 kills in the jet. Galland himself flew it in combat. The 262's impact on the war was minimal. Too few, too late, and too unreliable. But its technology was revolutionary. After the war, captured Me-262s influenced every country's jet development. The swept wing became standard in all jet fighters. The Me-262 proved that jet engines were the future of aviation. Within 5 years, every air force in the world flew jets. Today, a few Me-262s have been rebuilt with modern engines. They fly at airshows as a reminder of what might have been. The Me-262 was the first operational jet fighter, 120 miles per hour faster than anything the Allies had. But too few, too late, and too unreliable, it failed to change the war. Soldiers on both sides had to adapt. The old way of fighting was dead. The enemy scrambled to develop countermeasures. But they were already behind. Production ramped up. Factories worked day and night to build more. By the end of the war, this weapon had fundamentally altered the battlefield. The Me-262 revolutionized aviation. Its swept wings and jet engines became standard in all post-war fighters. It was the bridge between propeller and jet-age combat. The men who operated it knew its power. And they knew its cost. After the war, this technology continued to evolve. Its influence can still be seen today. Museums around the world preserve these machines. Silent reminders of their deadly efficiency. Collectors and historians study every detail. Every rivet, every mechanism tells a story. The soldiers who faced it called it many things. But they all agreed on one thing. It was terrifying. This was Me 262. And it changed everything. The events described here shaped the world we live in today. The events described here shaped the world we live in today. The events described here shaped the world we live in today. The events described here shaped the world we live in today. The events described here shaped the world we live in today. The events described here shaped the world we live in today. The events described here shaped the world we live in today. The events described here shaped the world we live in today. The events described here shaped the world we live in today. The events described here shaped the world we live in today. The events described here shaped the world we live in today. The events described here shaped the world we live in today. The events described here shaped the world we live in today. The events described here shaped the world we live in today. The events described here shaped the world we live in today. The events described here shaped the world we live in today. The events described here shaped the world we live in today. The events described here shaped the world we live in today.